terahertz are generated and how they are detected, and later we'll go for the applications where this technology is found, and I'll be talking about the market, what will be the future of terahertz market, and some of the opportunities in terahertz science. So these are the outline for this presentation. So what is terahertz? Terahertz is a slice of electromagnetic spectrum that lies between the millimeter wave and the infrared region. Similar to other rays, this is also an electromagnetic wave. Terahertz is an electromagnetic wave. And these waves fall in the frequency ranging from 0.1 to 10 terahertz. This is the frequency range for this wave. And 1 terahertz is equal to 10 to the power of 12 hertz. 10 to the power 12, we call it as tera. So this is the range and this is the size, or you can call them as 1000 gigahertz also. So terahertz is similar, it's one of the electromagnetic wave in the spectrum, and these are the frequencies. Their wavelength also ranges from 3 to 0.3 millimeter, and the energy level for these rays will be in the order of 0.41 to 41 the electron volts. So where is this terahertz falling? This will fall between the millimeter wave and infrared wave. There is a spectrum. Those place are called as terahertz. When you classify the spectrum, it will be classified into two areas. One is electronics and other one is photonics. These are the major classification of electromagnetic spectrum. The electronics will be the microwaves, the millimeter waves, they are called electronics. Whereas the infrared, visible rays, ultraviolet, X-rays, they call it as a photonics. And all frequencies are used in several applications. For example, for a mobile phone we use microwaves. And in microwave oven, we have microwaves. In your cars, there are microwaves. And infrared, for heating, they use infrared. And visible, lights. And the X-rays are used for body imaging. So all these spectrums are widely used, and there is a leftover spectrum. There is a leftover frequency that is called terahertz frequency. I'm going to talk about terahertz alone. So this is a recent research. This is the recently developed topic, both technically and commercially. Because before it was called as a sub-meter wave, and now there are several researches going on to use the terahertz because they are in high frequency levels. They are in higher orders. So it is a recently developed topic, and it is going to be commercial. It will be commercially applied in future. Why? Because these terahertz rays can penetrate through objects like cloth, material like clothing, polyethylene, polyester, and some other covers, some shirts, and it can be absorbed by water and some other organic substances. And these waves are non-ionizing. They are non-ionized. Therefore, it will not have any harmful effect to our body or our tissues. They are harmless for our biological entities. They are non-ionized, and they can pass through several materials. It can penetrate through materials. The audio is available? Yes, I'm audible.
Sir, you're audible, sir, but volume is very low.
Okay, madam. Let me check again. Okay. I hope now it's okay. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Now it's okay.
So coming to the timeline of this terahertz research story, there are several papers or a hypothesis proposed on terahertz, and it was started in the 1897 itself by Rubin, and then by 2000 it got a lot of investigation. They started investigating the bands. It is recently investigated by 2000 by a Fraunhofer and a team, and even 2010 people achieved a Nobel Prize even in physics by doing some graphene material using terahertz signals. And there are in future there are a lot of research and applications going to happen because of terahertz signals. So how these are generated? Similar to other signals, waves. Here also we have generation and detection of signals. These are higher frequency, though, so they are produced using two principles. One is passing the free electrons through a vacuum, and the other method is photocurrent in semiconductor. These are the two basic concepts in producing terahertz radiations. Similar to other radiations, these also have two types of waves. One is the broadband, and the other one is the continuous wave. How these waves are produced? This is the principle of generation. They use an electron accelerator, and they will pass the electron through a vacuum, and they produce the waves using femtosecond laser pulse or E-beams. Even E-beams can be, electron beams can be used, and these beams will be sent through a backward some oscillators to produce the waves. So they use principle of photocurrent or free current, either in vacuum or semiconductor, and this is the principle of generation, and it will be done by antenna and other radiators, which we use it for the other waves. Though it's higher frequency, there are special oscillators and laser beams and antennas used. So what is the principle behind this generation? It's a photocurrent. It's the derivative of the photocurrent. These terahertz waves are produced by the photocurrent. It's a current. It's directly proportional to the derivative of the photocurrent itself. So the photocurrent from the say lasers are used in generation of terahertz waves. So it's a derivative of photocurrent again. So how these waves are sent and received? You can use a continuous wave or pulse from optical signal source as a laser. You can use a laser. Femtosecond lasers are commonly used to produce these waves, and this will emit and it will pass through the object which need to be tested, and it will be received, detected by a receiver, and there is a optical delay because the signals should be controlled. There is an optical delay between the transmitter and receiver, and the object will be tested. This is the general block diagram of a terahertz system. So your object which to be detected will be placed between the transmitter and receiver. Then the optical signal will be sent. Also, the optical delay will be set to identify the properties of object. We are going to see what are the objects to be tested will be dealt in further slides. And there are a lot of sources used from the earlies. They use oscillators. They use Schottky diodes. They use, as I said, they use laser, and there are a lot of gyrotron, some synchrotron, cyclotron. There are several oscillators used in generating these pulses. These are some of the sources used in producing terahertz. So as I told you, terahertz source, if you want to produce broadband or you want a continuous wave, what is the difference between broadband and continuous wave? Similar to the other waves, broadband will have higher power ratings for high power, for high signals. We use terahertz broadband, and for the normal one, for low intensity detections, they use continuous wave. So to produce broadband terahertz waves, they use Schottky diode. There are some oscillations, and there are some oscillators, and photoconductive switchings will be used. For terahertz, there are some backward oscillators, there are quantum cascade lasers, and there are photoconductive switchings used in producing these waves. These are the devices which works on the principle of free electron or photons. And coming to the detectors, how to detect terahertz waves? Either you can detect using thermal, using the heat. There are heat-based thermal detectors used in receiving the terahertz. Bolometer. Bolometer is an instrument used in measuring the radiation when there is a rise in temperature. Okay, they use heat. Okay, they use some thermal mass to receive the signals. Bolometer is a measuring for radiation. It's used for measuring radiations. Then pyroelectric. What is pyroelectric? Where you can use either heat or cooling. Okay, to produce voltage, they produce voltage when you heat or cool. When you make a cooling or heating, it will produce a voltage. They are called the pyroelectric detectors. And coherent detectors, they detect the amplitude and the phase information of the received light by interfering the received signal with local oscillators. Coherent means joining place. They are coherent. We can use the amplitude and phase will be used. The amplitude of the light signal and the phase of the light signal will be when they interfere, and it will be used with the help of mixed with the help of local oscillator, and it will be detected. Coherent means mixer, local oscillators. Then semiconductor detectors, they are made up of semiconductors. Little bit optical based conductor detectors are available, and some photoconductive switches are there to receive the terahertz signals. These are the receiving signals which receives the terahertz signals. So now we saw what is terahertz, how to generate terahertz, and how to receive terahertz. Let us go to the application, because production and receiving the terahertz requires laboratory setup. It requires experimental design, and it is not in our hand because it requires a large amount of money to set up those labs. So let us study the applications. Therefore, we can know how the terahertz is going to take over the next generations. There are various applications that uses terahertz in day-to-day life. The applications are classified into two areas. One in the field of life science, other in the area of materials and sensing environment, for sensors, for sensing, for security purpose, and for material studies, we use terahertz. So life science and terahertz are the two major areas where these terahertz are widely applied in day-to-day. Coming to life science, for example, medical diagnostics. You want to do some diagnosis, you want to take the images of your brain, you want to take images of your tooth, you want to use it for any therapies, or you want to do it for forensic medicines, then terahertz signals are used. And coming to cellular chemistry, for cell analysis, cellular microscopy, we use terahertz. Then material science, to study the charges interactions, quantum computing, we use terahertz. You can also use terahertz in finding the life of the old objects, that is called fossil imaging, paleontology. Paleontology is the study of old objects, the ages. So paleontology, they use terahertz. And then security purposes, for national security, for identifying the illegal activity like carrying the drugs, explosives, and biohazard, they use terahertz. And then for cultural heritage analysis, for drug analysis, for material analysis, and then food analysis, they use terahertz. So let us take few examples and cover for today. Let us take molecular spectroscopy and in chemical analysis. How terahertz waves are used in identifying or differentiating the molecules. In the slide, I have given two waves. One is the result taken from IR spectra, infrared spectra, and the other one is taken from terahertz spectra. In the first wave, there are two signals shown. One is the red color and the other one is the blue color. The red color is the fructose. What is fructose? Fructose is a important it is an important chemical which is present in some of the foods like soft drinks, some sweets, some vegetables, some fruits. There are fructose available. Some fruits have fructose. So it is shown in the red color, and the other one is the glucose. Glucose is available in everywhere, even we are eating food. Wherever when we eat food, there is a glucose. So glucose and fructose are the we can say it is a chemical. It's a chemical parameters, and they are available in food. And here, an analysis is done taking these two materials, glucose and fructose, and I sent infrared spectroscope. I used infrared, and I study how much absorbed. What is the absorption rating of these two molecules? So in infrared, you can see that the red and the blue, they are okay, but they are not clear because they use infrared signals. They use infrared spectroscopy to study these chemicals. The second wave shown as using terahertz spectra, you can see the information is very clear. The frequency spectra for these two are clear in terahertz because terahertz are highly accurate for studying the molecules compared to present infrared spectroscopy. The results are very accurate because of the wave itself. The waves are high frequency, high power, and it has very good penetrating properties and absorbing properties in the molecules such as glucose and fructose. So your research or your analysis will be more clear if you use terahertz. And coming to, I want to find whether you are carrying illegal drugs or narcotics, especially in the airport. Many people smuggle, they carry the drugs illegally, right? We are seeing in news that in this airport and these people smuggled these illegal drugs. We are seeing, right? So you want to detect the illegal drugs, even if he is carrying inside his whatever object, even he can keep it in his bag or any metal covered object, wherever you can keep it. If you send a terahertz signal to these objects or these two packets, they will give you a clear information that there is a narcotics, there is a illegal drugs. So it is like a camera. It is like we keep a camera in the airport, and this camera will send a signal to all the passenger. And if somebody is carrying illegal drugs, your camera, which uses terahertz, will detect the person who is carrying illegal drugs. Not only person, it will also will tell you what exactly you are carrying. Are you carrying any heroin or any morphine sulfate, or you are carrying any cocaine? So there will be a graph. You will get a graph showing different percentage. You can see in the slide, I show you 100%, 12%, 20%. So for F, heroin, 23% is shown. It means if your result shows 23%, it means you are carrying heroin. So it will give you a crystal clear information of the drug that you are carrying. Not only detecting drug, it will also detect the exact molecules if terahertz is used. If terahertz is sent and received through these drugs, they can classify the chemical as shown in the graph. Also tracing explosive. I want to, if somebody is carrying RDX or PTN. RDX and PTN are the chemicals. PTN stands for pentaerythrityltetronitrate, and RDX stands for hexahydride 135 trinitrate trazine. These are the chemicals, and they are molecules, and they are explosives. They are dangerous. They are dangerous to the human. So if somebody is carrying, and if terahertz signals are sent, he can be caught. Using imaging technique also, you can take it, or simply sending a signals, because they are absorbed by the chemicals. Terahertz are sensitive to these chemicals. So you will get a report that somebody carries any pellets, any explosives, these terahertz will catch you. And at present, there are other methods using infrared, using some laser, they are doing it. However, if you use terahertz, it will be more clear in terms of frequency, and in terms of absorption, it will classify the material also. So it will help to identify the chemical illegally transported or etc. Coming to biology and medicine, one more advantage of terahertz, they are very good with the water. They are very strong. Water is a strong absorber of terahertz. So in your body, you have water in your body. If there is in the surface of your body, is there any water level, or is there a dry? You want to classify, you can classify it easily. If you have a skin, dry skin and watery skin, these signals, if you send to your body externally, if you send to your body, it will classify the water content. Where is there is more water, where is there is less water, it will classify. Terahertz can do that. So classifying the water content, where there is a water content, where there is no water content, can be done by the terahertz signals. And in the same field, biology, if anybody have diabetics, how to identify the patients who has diabetic? It can be done by terahertz signals. That is called diabetic food measurement studies using terahertz. So you can see in the picture, there is A, B, C, D. What is A stands for? It is a setup. There is a lab, and I am going to find the patient whether he is diabetic. So I set up a lab, and then in B, you can see that there is a plotted in the reddish color, and the C, the red yellowish, more yellowish. So what is the difference? The difference is shown in the water volume level. If it is 0, it is yellow. So what I am doing is I am using water volume. I'm taking the patient's toe, and I am checking the water content. From the water content, I am predicting the patient who is having diabetes. So terahertz, with the help of water analysis in your body, can predict the diabetic. How, if you have this much of water content, then you are diabetic. This is the study. And who will do this? The terahertz will do this. The terahertz will be sent and received So they can they can give you a picture, they can give you a report whether you are diabetic or not. And the same, similar to last slide, coming to water analysis. From the picture, it is clear that I take a leaf, okay. I can find the water content in the leaf, or I can find when the leaf fell down, how long the leaf fell down. So I can do reverse analysis also. So water concentration, if it is less or more, is there any water in the plant or not? Whether leaves are fresh or not. I can identify the water content in the leaves. Why water content is very important in leaves or human body? Even water analysis will tell you what is the condition of your health. It's one of the important study. We can identify the health condition of your body if you have the water analysis. So water analysis is possible with the help of terahertz, because I told you terahertz and water are friendly. They are close. They have very good absorption properties. And there are other applications for forensic and security purpose. Are you carrying any unauthorized weapon? So I have a special setup. I will have a radiation. I will have a detector. They use terahertz, and if you pass, the terahertz can pass through your leather, object, metal, anything it can pass through, and it can find the metals. If you want to track any metal, you can use terahertz. Even if you carry a knife hiding in your bag or paper or metal, I can identify, because terahertz can pass through these materials. So it is for security purpose as well. And the other area of research where terahertz used is pharmaceuticals. Nowadays, we don't know what is inside a tablet. When you buy a pill or any drug from pharmacies, and if you want to have a study, we need big research setup. Whereas if you have terahertz signals, and these signals, as I told you, they have very good absorption, especially for the chemicals. So it can give you the, for example, this case, I can identify, is it amorphous? Is the tablet is amorphous, or the tablet is crystalline or solid? So it can tell you the absorption, how much is amorphous, how much is the crystalline for drugs, for any tablet. And for imaging, coming to imaging side, for example, you buy a chocolate which is having a box, which is containing in a box. You don't know how many chocolates are there. You can count it without opening the container. Using terahertz, using imaging techniques of terahertz, we can easily identify the missing chocolate in a carton. In a small carton, they have a lot of chocolates. If anything is missing, we no need to open. Without opening, we can identify. If terahertz is sent, and the imaging techniques should be applied. Similarly, if you have any crack in your tiles, very minute crack or broken at your house, ceramic tiles or any tiles, these signals, these terahertz can pass through and it can give you a report on missing part or broken part. And you can, even if you have hide a knife under your shoe, and it can be even tracked because they pass through even plastic and leather. Coming to electronics in VLSI, we are using ICs, diodes, and especially in ICs, we want to know the package, how they are packed, how the integrated circuits are packed, how the connections are done inside. You can send a signal of terahertz, and terahertz will give you the internal architecture, the internal connectivity of in the connection lines of ICs or even the boards, even the PCB, multi-layer PCBs, they are used to detect the fault finding in multi-layer PCBs. So internal architecture, internal connectivity, I want to know, then you can use this terahertz. And for coherent imaging, you want to have imaging of the objects. There are some scanning images. You can run different time and signals. You can send a signal and get reflected, and you can know the scan images, what is inside the objects. For example, memory chip, I want to know the internal structure. Then you can send terahertz in different time, and you can identify the reflection. You'll get the reflected signals. And coming to 6G, we want to move to 6G because everybody need data, everybody want to communicate, and everybody wants to communicate faster. So we need higher frequencies. Now we are running out of frequencies. Already the spectrum is full because of the users. There are many users for internet. So we have to go for the next level of frequency. So who can support? Terahertz can help you. Terahertz, they are higher frequencies and they can have high data transmissions in the order of 1000 gigabit per second. They can transmit with the carrier waves with the help of these winds. So you want to achieve higher speed in data communication, then terahertz will do that. Terahertz can help you to communicate data and cover the spectrum, the users of cellular communications. And even if you see the report on 6G, if you review the report on 6G, what 6G will do that? What require 6G? Why we are not ready for 6G? 6G is depending on terahertz. They want terahertz because of you want to stream high video, you want to make a high digital video streaming and broadcasting. You want high definition in your communications, and everybody wants automatic. Everybody wants automations, and everybody wants sensors. Everywhere there are sensors and automation, and there are a lot of application in biomedical in biosignals. So to achieve all these things, what we require is the frequency. What we need is the higher band. We need a very broad frequency band in the order of 1 to 10 hertz. At least we need 3 terahertz to transmit higher videos, higher content, higher digital content. So we are moving towards 6G. So who can help? The terahertz will help that, because they are higher frequency and they are very fast and they are having a lot of advantages. Their production, the generation and detection requires some photonics principle, and that will be developed also in future to support the transmissions. Okay, I want to check the quality control of my food product. Especially in industries, they want to have quality control for their products. For example, you have a chocolate. In the slide, I show you the front and back side of the chocolate. It looks very good. But I want to know whether there is anything inside in the chocolate. For example, I put a small stone inside, or I put a small screw, or any splinter glass. When you make the productions, by mistakenly there will be some objects falling inside the chocolate and it will be molded, and for normal people we cannot see. Through our eyes we cannot see the objects, right? It is common, especially in food products. If anything mixed, it creates big problem. So what the industry they do is they go for terahertz and they take the terahertz images of the product and they are checking the quality control. Is that the quality is okay? Is there any unnecessary things are added, any impurities added? They can identify by using terahertz. In fact, this non-destructive analysis, they use terahertz signals and cameras to visualize the packed, the sealed food products. So terahertz will play important role in quality control of food products. And there are, in future, you can see there will be a lot of scope where this terahertz technology will contribute in terms of healthcare, in quality control, as I said, and even for fault finding in the wires or any public utility conduct. If you want to do fault finding, you can do it. You can send the signal. They are faster, they are higher, they are powerful, and this will help you in these areas, in preventive healthcare, in the operation, and the quality control. Here is an example using a camera which uses terahertz. Terahertz can be widely spread or sent across the region. We no need to stop the flow rates. I don't want to check one by one. I can keep it open. And these terahertz will capture you. They capture what? Whatever I told you, any explosive you carry, any chemical you carry, any unwanted metal if you carry, and they will capture. These cameras, they will capture. And these cameras uses terahertz. And what is the future of terahertz? There are a lot of scope. Countries are started investing on these things. Many countries started investing on this terahertz technology, where they can improve the life, because they have these waves are having a lot of advantages, and there are a lot of scope for research and applications. They use where these terahertz are used widely. They are used mostly for manufacturing and security. By 2007, if you see, they used only for security purpose and manufacturing. But 2017, we started using in other field, in communication, agriculture, even food, environmental studies. So common annual growth rate is 28. Within 10 years, 28% developed. These technologies, within within 10 years, there is a growth of 28 percentage, and the field are increasing widely, and it will wider again. So what about the for example, they are used in semiconductor property studies, especially nanostructurals, and to understand the limit of electronic devices. And there are some sub-wavelength spectroscopy is the field of research, and nonlinear terahertz spectroscopy is optics, and spintronics also they started using terahertz, and in the quantum nonlinear dynamics also. So there are very wide applications and future scope for this. So any questions here? Therefore I am concluding my presentation. So new wave is coming up.
Sir?
Yes, madam. Shall I?
Okay.
Madam, shall I proceed? My voice is audible.
Sir, your voice is not audible, sir.
Oh, no, madam. Madam, my voice is audible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now it's audible, sir.
Shall I proceed?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Dear students, colleagues, professors, and students participants, it's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks in this wonderful session. It's a proud moment for us on behalf of the Department of Electronics and Communication and the Department of Computer Science. I'd like to thank a resource person from various parts of the world for spared their valuable time from different time zones like USA, UAE, Germany, and Bahrain, and also for shared their knowledge to our students community. I wish to thank our resource person, Dr. C. Ranganathan, Professor, University of Illinois, Chicago, who has handled the first session on data science and artificial technology to electronic devices in everyday life. I also like to thank Mr. Iqbal Mohammed, a technical expert, I2 Systems, UAE, who has handled the second session on cloud technology and its applications in electronics. I also like to thank Mr. Santosh Kumar, a senior expert, HAL Engineering, Germany, has handled the third session on testing trends in automotive electronics. I also like to thank Professor Dr. Stalin, Professor, Department of Electronics, Electrical and Electronics Engineering, Ministry of Education, Kingdom of Bahrain, for his nice, neat explanation on terahertz technology. I am confident that this conference will light and definitely create an idea on data science project demonstration and applications of cloud technology, automotive electronics, and terahertz technology. And I also like to thank our managing trustee, correspondent madam, secretary madam for their moral support rendered for this virtual conference in this pandemic situation. I wish to thank our beloved principal, Dr. T. Swakumar sir, who is the guiding light for us. The theme and the title of this virtual conference is the brainchild of our principal. Thank you, sir. I also like to thank Dr. R. Dhanavalan, HOD Microbiology, DBT Star College Scheme Coordinator. Next, I wish to thank our HOD Madam, Dr. P. Venkateshwari, and Dr. B. Jayanti, HOD of Computer Science, for their incomparable support in all the efforts and work behind this program. I wish to thank our faculty team, Professor D. Shankar, Professor Sri Kumar, Professor G. Sandhya, and Professor C. Bhavya for their technical support. Last but not least, on behalf of our department, I'd like to thank student participants, faculty members from various colleges for their fullest cooperation to make this conference a grand success. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, madam. Thank you for giving me opportunity. Thank you, one and all. Thank you, Anand Suran sir also.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll be in touch with you, sir. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
madam. Yes, madam. I'm happy to serve RBS always.
Sure, sir. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam.